There's two geese fighting out there in the lake, but the way I did it is, hey guys, hope you're having a lovely start to your day. I'm out here in Lake Ella, which is absolutely beautiful. Hold up, let me show you guys the view of the lake. It's just incredible. There's geese, there's ducks. It's just a great place to be at and sort of study and stuff like that, which is what I'm gonna do right after this video. But I wanted to talk to you today about how to find your why, right? Because a lot of times people go up to you and, or not people go up to you, but, as we go through life, we have people telling us, oh, find your why, find your meaning and everything else will fall into place, right? But how do we find our meaning? That's the difficult part. And I'm not so sure that people will tell you how to get there, right? It's because it's very difficult, or not difficult, it just takes a little more time to process and more time by yourself. So hopefully today I'll tell you how to find your why. So I guess to start, I'll bring an analogy of an archer, right? An archer trying to shoot at his target. So an archer, in order to practice and get better at his skills, really hone his skills, doesn't just shoot an arrow straight into the woods in the middle of nowhere, right? He'll find a target, shoot it straight into the bullseye, and practice getting closer and closer to the bullseye. He might not hit it on the first try, but he knows where his center is at, right? Which is that bullseye. And in a similar way, our center is our why, right? Why am I here? Why am I doing the things that I do day in and day out, right? In my case, why do I put in the work, right? Put in the time to, in this sort of like long career, right? Because I want to be a doctor. I'm pre-med, so getting ready to study to be a doctor. And why is it that I'm putting in the hours and taking these really difficult, not sure how applicable classes like Physics 2, for example, which is kind of kicking my butt right now, but that's a separate story. So why am I doing this, right? And ultimately, at least in my case, it falls down right to my family, right? I want to do better. I want to do better for my kids, right? And I guess sort of that comes from my immigrant background, right? And then also just for, I guess the ability to help others, right? Which is kind of why I'm even making these videos in the first place, right? Because I really care about other people, and there's nothing more fulfilling and nothing that makes me more happy than to see other people, I guess, be happy, right? And ultimately be cared for, right? So that's why I want to be a doctor. So how does this, again, apply to you guys? It took me, it's still taking me quite some time to ask myself these questions, right? Sort of figure out what my why was. I moved out from my house to go away for college for a little bit. Was involved in a lot of different extracurriculars. I did a lot of service work in the country, outside of the country. And I guess it really has taken me, and it still is taking me, sort of a while to figure out my why. And I think ultimately the way you do this and the way I did it, or am doing it, because I'm not 60 years old. There's two geese fighting out there in the lake, but the way I did it is, or I'm doing it, is to ask myself questions, ask myself these difficult questions that are ultimately going to help me know myself better. Why, like for example, lately the last 2 weeks I've been, desiring a relationship, right? Why do I want a relationship? I've been asking myself that question. Ask myself more difficult questions, right? Like, why is it that I want to be a doctor, right? And ultimately, I think it boils down to, at least the relationship aspect, to why do I want one? Well, in a sense, I do feel alone, right? I'm up here by myself, and that's not a bad thing, right? So I ask myself, why is it that it's bad for me to be alone? And I don't necessarily think it is. I think in this stage that I'm at, in this period of my life, I'm sort of growing and going through a lot of personal development. Even making these videos requires some form of personal growth and development. So I encourage you guys to ask yourself, why is it that I'm doing this, right? Frequently question yourselves, get to know yourself better, and be comfortable with yourself, right? Because that's ultimately the best way to figure out your why, right? Is to really know yourself and really ask yourself these questions. You asking other people, like even me, for example, me telling you my whys, it's not really gonna do much for you, because you need to grow and you need to figure yourself out. Ultimately, somebody else they may help you, right? I'm trying to help you guys out a little bit, and in the process help myself, right? Making these videos, but ultimately it boils down to you, right? What do you think is going to help you? What do you think is going to help you find your why? What do you think is going to fulfill you, right? And we're sort of all trying to achieve this eudaimonia in life, right? That's from Aristotle. It's basically like this sense of fulfillment at the end of our life, right? That's the ultimate goal. I want to end my life and say, or at the end of my life, be able to say, I lived a fulfilling and a happy life, right? A good life. And I think that's what we all desire. So I ask yourself, or I ask you to ask yourself, what is it that's going to orient me to that, right? What is it that's going to orient me to that? Why am I, behaving a certain way? Why am I acting a certain way? And I think that'll help you get to know yourself better, and ultimately help you in your personal growth journey. So I think that's it for me, for my yap sesh. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day, and I hope I helped you in some way. Part of these videos, I think, part of this journey is really sort of helping myself, uncover my why, right? And also live my why out, right? Meaning my why to, care for other people, my why to live a fulfilling life, right? And I hope in some way that I've inspired you, and I've sort of maybe opened up your mind to how to find your own why and reason, right? So yeah, have a lovely day, and hope to see you guys on the next one. See ya.